Mic check.
Hi, Kes.
Hi, Christine. How are you?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Clearly. Interesting room.
Awesome. Yeah. So hi.
All right. Do we give it a few more minutes for folks to join? Say 2 more minutes.
Yeah, we can keep trickling in like in 2 minutes, then we can begin.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Awesome.
Christine, is that an actual room or you're inside a vehicle?
Yeah, so I'm actually in a car.
Okay. Like a cab or
Yeah.
something?
No, actually, I'm in a car, like literally in a car. I was trying to do a few things like before the
I see. It's a very interesting location.
Yeah.
You add that to one of the rooms at ALU.
Yeah. But that's strange. Oh wow.
What is that?
Okay.
I can't hear you. You're breaking up. So I'm about to start. I think it's 11:05 now. So for everyone on the call, thank you for joining this morning. This is UI UX Study Jams. And thanks to Christine for reaching out as well. So brief introduction. My name is Kesian, or Kes for short. What I do, I'm an engineering manager at Andela. First of all, can everybody hear me? Just to make sure I'm not talking to myself.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic, thank you. So yeah, I'm an engineering manager at Andela, but I also have a very strong, passion for design, which is why I'm doing this today. All right. So this is what we're going to do. This is the agenda for the whole thing. So special shout out to Mahali. I don't know if she's on the call right now. I don't think so. But basically, I'm shouting her out because she designed this flyer, and I basically was inspired by the flyer and just ran with the concept for the whole thing. So shout out to Mahali. All right, and you can connect with her at Twitter if you don't already have her contacts. So quickly, I want us to do this. This is like a sort of icebreaker, and how I will get to know some of you, some of the products you work with, some of the products you love, and then we can share ideas based on this. So one, a product that you can live without. So the place to do this will be on Discourse, right? Let me paste. I can paste this questions on Discourse. So everybody has access to it. I keep saying Discord, sorry, Discord. Yeah. So if you're on Discord, you can go there and for each of those questions, let's have an answer. So we can do this for the next 3-ish minutes before we continue. You just go ahead to copy the message on Discord. Put your answers there so that other folks can see it. Nobody's typing. Who else? Are you guys on Discord? I need to see activity. Wait, let me ask directly. Are you guys on Discord? On what server? It's the Developer Student Club ALU server. I think Christine might have shared a link earlier. Ah, I see. Let me share the invite link here. I'm going to be using a lot of Discord, so it's imperative that everybody has it. Let me see at least one more response before I move forward. Just one. I see Kate is typing. I actually can't wait to see products that people think are horrible. For me, it's Move. I think the Move app is just like really horrible. I don't know if anybody has the same experience. If you do, please unmute and corroborate my claims. A lot of people are typing. I think I'm going to get very interesting answers here. Kate has been typing for the past 1 hour. What? I expected Kate's thing to be like full page. It's just 4 lines. Can't live without Twitter. Can't believe people use rush fruits. You know what? I'm with you on that. I am actually with you on that. That looks like it looks like child's play. Like it's like somebody was in art class and just doodle something. One product you wish everybody knew about: Discord and Slack. Have you showered today? Listen, Kate, I'm not judging you. It's all good. And then this is Caleb, Google Chrome. You know, I didn't think of that, but you are absolutely right. I don't use any other browser. Okay, we might have to fight here, Caleb. I hope you can fight. Firefox is a pretty good product, even though Chrome is quote unquote better. One product you wish everybody knew about: Samsung. Samsung has a variety of products. Frank says Kahoot for awesome product. That's good. That's good. I agree. But techno, you know what, Frank? I want to hear from you. What do you mean techno? Why? What is wrong with techno? I have used the techno before. I was not disappointed. Yeah, what's wrong with techno phones? All right. So I'm going to ask people to mute at some point. Oh, sorry, to unmute at some point, because I'd want both, text and voice interactions. I want this to be highly interactive. All right. So we spent 15 minutes. Moving on. Thank you for everyone who shared and who is still sharing. Somebody asked, why am I asking if you showered? I think that's Livier. Yeah, I'm just checking in, man. You never know. It's checking in on your neighbor in these remote times. All right. So the first question I want to ask is, what is design? Now for this one, I actually want people to talk. So please unmute your mics. And in one word, when you hear design, what is like a synonymous word that you think about? Anybody?
Yeah, hey.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah, for me, design, I can say like it's building. Yeah,
Building.
yeah, building.
Thank you. Who else wants to go? Or should I start picking folks? I love picking folks, especially those that are not ready. So it's best you just volunteer yourself now. Give me one word.
Hi.
Hi there, Rachel. Hi.
Yes. I want to say pretty.
Pretty. That's
Yes.
good. Building pretty. I want to see if we can build a sentence with this. All right. So we have building pretty. Anyone else? Any other words? I'll say 2 more words. Let me call Paul R. What's one word that comes to mind?
I can't think of anything right now.
Yeah, come on, try. Just try. Go ahead, try. Anything that pops. When you hear design, what comes to your mind?
There isn't exactly a word to describe it. It's more like I just think of it as maybe a problem solving, maybe if that's a word.
Okay, so I would take solving. So building pretty. Okay, I'll take problem. Actually, building
No problem, maybe solving.
building pretty problem. That's where we are now. Catherine, one word. This is the last one.
Well, decorate. Honestly, that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of designing. Just decorating things.
So the sentence we have, or the phrase, that's definitely a sentence. Building pretty problem, decorate. We'll make sense of all of that. All right, for me, design is empathy. And what empathy is, as I think most of you, if not everybody already know, is being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. When you design anything, you're literally thinking, oh, well, you should be literally thinking, what is the problem that I'm trying to solve for this person? So problem is a good word, Paul. What is the problem that I'm trying to solve for this person? How can I, relate very closely to this person so I can solve the problem in a way that feels good? When you put yourself in those shoes, typically, like, the design just starts to flow from there. Instead of thinking in terms of lines and shapes and just lines, shapes, and colors, you're thinking, how can I create an experience to help alleviate the problem that this potential customer is facing or is gonna face. So moving on. So some of you may know Donald Norman. So he's the author of The Design of Everyday Things. So the fact that you're in this talk or lecture or whatever you want to call it means that you are somehow interested in design. And I would advise that you follow this person, you follow this man. On Twitter, buy his book, The Design of Everyday Things. It really, points out some inefficiencies of today's designs, and I would actually be looking at some of them. And he doesn't just redesign them, like, he walks you through the problem of current designs and why they are inefficient, right? So his definition of, or at least one of his definitions of design, is that it's an act of communication, which means having a deep understanding of the person with whom the designer is communicating. So the person you're communicating to is your end user, the person that would eventually use your product to solve a specific problem. When you think of problem solving, is somehow synonymous to engineering. Most engineers are built, their minds are built to solve things, right? And so he also has a comment on designs from engineers. He says the problem with engineers who design is that their designs are too logical. And the last part is really the part that that speaks out to me. He says, we have to accept human behavior the way it is, not the way we wish it to be, right? For example, you're building a house. The house should have different rooms. Each room should have a door that cordons it from the rest of the other rooms. How you design the door is important. Like, just putting a door because it's logical to put a door there is not enough. You have to think, how should the door open? Should it open inside? Should it open outside? Which of those make the most sense? Things like that. What have we got? So what I want us to do here, and I want everybody to participate. And as usual, if you don't, I'll call you out. so the idea here is to walk through some. This is not the UI part. This is more of user experience part. Practical examples of better designed alternatives. There should be an S there. Of everyday things. All right. So let's start with this. This is one of my favorite. So we have cooker A and cooker B. Anybody wanted to unmute and tell me which one is a better design? And why, of course. Why do you think it's better? Like, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's your opinion. It's what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frank.
Hey. Yeah, for me, I can say Cooker A is the better design because the design has tried to utilize all of the space of that box. I mean, that cooker. But for cooker B, you see there is a blank space which doesn't have any meaning. And yeah, for me personally, it's cooker A because it only uses the whole space. So better use of resources. I mean,
Makes sense. So the space needs to be filled and leveraged judiciously. The problem with that word, obviously. Any other person? Thanks, Frank. That was good.
For me, I think it's cooker B.
Why is that?
So I get Frank's point about cooker A, but like from my brain, it's just wired. You see, like the way you have like all the cookers in squares.
Yeah.
I can just easily know if I pick like the first knob on the left, it's for the burner on the left. So it's just very easy for me to process like mentally.
So it maps directly to the cookers, right?
Exactly.
I see. Makes sense. Thank you.
I would say cooker A because even though that's an assumption that you've made that the little switches map onto how the stove is, because you don't really know because it's not labeled. But on cooker A, like they've labeled it, even though you're gonna have to read it a few times before your brain just like knows which one is connected to which. Like you're sure you're not gonna make a mistake and blow up the house.
Rachel, are you or let me put it this way. What do you study right now?
I'm computer science.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Thank
Why
you for that. I would explain why. I'm going to come to that.
Okay.
Any other person? We have two guys, one lady. Any other lady? Oh well. Caleb, yeah, please.
Yeah. As for me, I'd go for cooker B because the cookers are ideally the same size, almost the same size, but for cooker B, it leaves a space. It leaves a space within the cooker design so that someone can do more things with cooker B than they can do with cooker A. For example, place items on the space, or something like that.
Makes sense. Thank you. So the extra space gives more allowance to even use the cooker for more things. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So we have 2 votes for cooker A, 1 vote. No, two votes for cooker B, 1 vote for cooker A. Actually, it's 2-2. It's 2-2.
Can I
yes.
Contribute?
Etienne, please. Go ahead.
Okay. For me, it's cooker B because cooker A is labeled in English. Like, what if the person doesn't read English, or what if the person can't read at all? So he won't be able to cook. So
nice. I did not even think of that.
That's just how I see it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Any other person want to go? We have 5 people, 3 for cooker B, 2 cooker A. All right, cool. I think 5 is good. 5 is good. Thank you for everybody who contributed. So for me, I'm also on Team Cooker B. Reason being, let me put it this way. For folks who have an iPhone, personally, I have vowed that I'll never have an iPhone because, iPhone, like the Apple and their capitalist ways, is is a big part of what is wrong with our world today. So they've come up with a new phone with hardly any features, and then people are going to kill themselves to buy it. People who don't have the money will kill themselves to buy it. So I don't like that as a personal philosophy. But I cannot deny that the iPhone is a very well designed product. How many people here have iPhones? Just 1, 2 people is fine. Anybody? Are we all not iPhone people? So nobody here uses an iPhone. Whoa, we're all together. Nice.
We are broke like that.
Nice. What if you have 2 phones? Is one of them an iPhone? I'm trying to make a point with the iPhone. I see Christine is snapping with my philosophy. So it's not Christine, Catherine. Do you subscribe to the same philosophies? Catherine, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you. I subscribe to the same philosophy, hence the reason we don't have an iPhone, and probably the reason I'll never buy one.
Thank you. Thank you for
adding on to the fact that I'm equal.
That makes me feel better that I'm not the only one. Anyway, since none of us, all of us believe that Apple products, well, apart from the Mac, are a lot of things. It's part of what is wrong with the world. We don't have iPhones, but if you notice, most people, well, anybody that has an iPhone or comes across one, a new one, they don't come with manuals. Like you don't read anything to start using the iPhone because they've made it such that you don't have to. Like everything is just intuitive. So whether you speak Mandarin, Kenya, Rwanda, French, it doesn't matter. Like you have a brain, and that brain has been trained, as you've grown up to know how certain things work. So back to this here, the problems with engineering design is that it's logical. And Android compared to it back in the day, now Android is way better. But Android phones back in the day were very difficult to navigate. So it means here, the fact that you don't have to read anything, and then it just maps. I have a gas cooker like the one on the left, cooker A. Till this day, I am still reading. I've been with gas cooker for almost 2 years now. Till this day, I'm still reading or trying to map. This one is for that one. This one is for this one. This one is for that one. So, I mean, Rachel was asking me why I was asking what she studied is because of this point about engineers. Like what you said was very logical. Like it's a very logical way to think about it. And in some respects, maybe that's fine for some people. But the one that will appeal to more people, in my opinion, is this one that maps directly, where you don't have to think. You just know. And the assumption that you said I made, I don't think is an assumption. Like for me, I didn't, like when I saw this design version, I didn't have to think much. Like I just know everything maps directly. And I think Paul had echoed the same sentiments. So that's what I meant. All right. Any questions or any rebuttals, anything there?
I just have a tiny thing to comment about. I do understand what you mean about Cooker B, that it's a little bit more intuitive.
Yeah.
But when you mentioned the iPhone and how it doesn't come with a manual, I really would disagree that anyone can use it. I don't think that it is possible. There are a lot of things that we know because you've used something similar to a phone. And I have given like a brand new phone, not necessarily an iPhone, to someone who had not interacted with a lot of smartphones before. And to them, for example, the settings design, the button for settings and the little thing, it doesn't make sense to them. So I just would beg to differ, and I would still go for Kuka A.
Fine, we agree to disagree. On your point that not everybody will get it, that is valid. I agree with you. That's why I mentioned that, as we've grown up, we've been trained or conditioned, like little by little, to know about certain patterns. That's why it would be easier to learn how to use an iPhone without a manual than the previous versions of Androids. And that's what I meant. So on that point, I'm 100% aligned with you. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Next one here. Which of these doors is better designed? So this one, clearly labels which one you should pull, which one you should push. And then this one, you pull on one side and you push on one side. Any thoughts? Anybody? This is not an exam. I'm not going to grade you.
Can I?
Yes,
Can I go?
Sure.
Okay, so I think most people are gonna make the argument that it's better to be labeled so that like you read and you know what to do. But I've come to realize that even when it's labeled, people still do the wrong thing. Like they see pull, but they push. They try to push them all. So I think the B is better because how can I say it? You see the handle, you know that like a handle, really, you push a handle. Now, if instinctive, I'll take most, I think 99% of the population, their first instinct will be to pull the door when you see a handle. And you're the other side, on the other side, it's even clear that you can't even pull it. You are obliged to push it. Yeah. So for me, though, B is better design because I don't know why some people read, but they still do what they are not supposed to do.
Thank you for that. Any other thoughts?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
So like to the previous person that just spoke. So how do you know, like, so for pushing, how do you know you're supposed to push? Because you could easily like reverse. You could easily like reverse. What I call the polarity. Like you could easily like reverse the direction, and it's still the same thing.
So
can I answer?
Just to give more context. So Etienne, before you answer, just to give more context, this is instead of having double doors like this, one door, right? And then on one side is the handle, and then on the other side is the push thing, and that thing is also there's also written push on that thing as well. Just there's context for that. So Etienne, if you want us to go, you can go ahead.
Yeah, like for me, even without the writings, right? Let's just say you're on the left side of the door of door B, right? How would you pull that door if it's completely flat? Like for me, my first instinct is that I will pull because I cannot push it. And now on the other side, there is a handle, right? For me, I would say 99% of people, especially I think the way it's designed is the part where you are pushing is when you're entering, right? And for me, it's just more logical that when you're entering somewhere, you pull the plate, you pull the door to enter. When you're exiting, push. And that's just my idea. That's just like what I've noticed the behavior of people.
Thanks, Etienne. So I would say instead of the words you use, is that it's more logical. I'd say it's more intuitive. I don't think there's any logic per se. It's just your intuition, and it comes back to this statement. We have to accept human behavior the way it is, not the way we wish it to be. So because people would already assume something when they see a certain thing, you just go with what you think they would see, and that's the point. So this door design is called the Norman door design is from this same man, this Donald Norman person. And it's also in his book about the design of everyday things. You should, again, check it out. If there's a book that you read before the year runs out, let it be that book. All right. Now we've talked about design in general and like user experience. So we move to the actual topic of today, which is, the UI UX term, and I'm delving into the process, right? So I themed it as from idea to production. The idea being, how do we get from having a concept in our heads to something on paper? It's not necessarily production, technically speaking. So I wanted to also debunk this. Debunk in the sense that when people say UI UX, like if you had not been in the industry before, didn't have prior experience, you might not have known what they mean and the fact that they are actually acronyms, right? So one is user interface, one is user experience. Excuse me. So user interfaces define the what. So if you're talking about, somebody said Twitter, when you see the Twitter interface, you know that that's what it is. But the experience, you can't see the Twitter experience, the Twitter app experience. You can only experience it. You can only feel it, right? So you typically will go from the idea, or you should go from that. This is my ideal way to think about developing products. So you think about the idea and the thing that you're trying to solve, and then from there you go ahead to think through an experience. Then based on that experience, that now informs the interface that you build. That's the point of this arrow here. Now, this is what the process looks like in general, right? So there's the wireframing part. You can think of wireframes as synonymous to how you get an architect to do like a house plan before you actually build the house. And there's three types. There's the lo-fi, low fidelity, medium fidelity, and high fidelity. And I think these pictures do justice to explain which is what. So for lo-fi, typically that's the kind of thing where you're with your client in a coffee shop, they're explaining this fantastic idea, which happens to be they want to build Facebook again. And you have like a serviette and a pencil or a pen, and you just want to sketch a few screens on those things. That's what low fidelity looks like, right? It's just very hand-drawn. Instead of writing copies or anything, you just put lines as placeholders. You can see it's not very proportional. You just put boxes to form placeholders. Then there is this other option of doing the medium fidelity where it's more structured, things are more aligned. You're using like text placeholders. And by the way, this lorem ipsum dollar theta met thing, for folks who are not familiar with it, it's a general like placeholder text. You will see it in a lot of either designs or tech related things. So this one, tries to give the look and feel, you see with the network status bar at the time, the battery status, Bluetooth, is, getting it closer to what it would look like in the real thing. And typically you would use an app for this. Like there's nobody's hand that is this straight, to draw this thing this way. You use an app for this. And it's much easier. The app will have all the components that you need that you're looking for. And then in high fidelity, of course, it's essentially what the app will look like when it's finished. So you can tell that this one will take a lot more time in deciding on the color, what the text should be, how many slides should I have, and all of that. So the point is, you want to get from idea to solution iteratively and as quick as possible, because you don't want to invest your time building all of this and the client comes back and says, this is horrible, this is not what I want. Or not even the client, but like you test it with the sample space or your alpha testers or beta testers, and they're like, this doesn't work at all. When you should have done this, iterated on this before you now spend more time on this high fidelity. So in general, to do proper wireframes, you should do thorough research. And we'll see examples of that very soon. And you should keep it simple as possible. And the different fidelity levels determine how simple you should keep it. As I've explained, for the lo-fi, you don't need to think about the copy, just put lines. So by copy, I mean copywriting. So copywriting in this sense is, COPYWRITING, not the copywriting in terms of intellectual property. So in some companies, there's some companies that actually employ people to write the text within an application because they want it to sound a certain way, because they're trying to appeal to a certain kind of people. So the language and the tone of voice needs to be a certain way. I can't even stress how important tone of voice is when you're designing your apps. It's so important. Well, I can't stress enough. Then you should use a monochromatic palette, basically black and white. The point of that is so you don't have to think, what color should I use? That's not the point. The point is, how should the flow be? That's what you're trying to figure out. So just stick with black and white, and use your discretion to determine where there should be contrast, and that tells you where there should be black or white or gray in between. And then use a grid when you can. So for lo-fi, if you're drawing on a serviette, obviously you don't have a grid. But if you're using like an app to do like medium-fi or hi-fi, you see, like, that's why I really loved what Mahali did with the flyer. So I just ran with it because it was helpful. This graph-like lines behind, those are grids. And you just use them to position things because they already have equal spacing. So it helps you align things properly. And if you don't, that's one of the worst things you can probably do when you're designing, not making sure things are aligned. And when you do it well enough, it starts to translate into your real life. Like if you see things, like you see a painting on the wall and it's not like aligned, it's going to bother you, it's going to give you a very visceral reaction. All right, moving on. So we have these building blocks when considering, how to build stuff out or how to wireframe. You want to think of the font. Like the font, I saw this meme one time where someone was trying to explain or prove that, fonts actually matter. So imagine you had a serial killer come to your house, God forbid, of course. He came to your house, you were not around, and then they used, your lipstick or blood or red paint to go on the mirror and they write, "I'm coming for you." And then the font they used to write this is in Comic Sans. Would you be scared? Would you feel scared if you saw that? Anybody? Would you still be afraid that, oh, what happened here? Any takers? Mic check. Are you guys still there?
Sorry, I missed parts of your question.
Yeah. So the question is, if hypothetically, and God forbid, a serial killer comes to your house and then takes red paint to write on your mirror that I am coming for you. Now, the font that they write this "I'm coming for you" in is Comic Sans. I'm sure most everybody here knows what Comic Sans is. what it looks like. Would you be afraid compared to when they write with, like a finger scratch kind of text? Which one would scare you more?
The bigger finger scratched font.
Exactly. I was hoping that was the answer, or else that just like that's the whole point of my talk on fonts. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're using the right fonts for whatever it is that you're doing. And there are different fonts that convey different types of messages. We're not going to go into fonts here, maybe in another session, but there's a whole world of fonts. Type scale. So there needs to be information hierarchy in your product or whatever it is. Not all things can have the same large header. Some things that you want to catch the attention first should be the largest, and then the header should reduce progressively. So there are different standard scales to use. Instead of thinking about those yourself, you just go to a tool like Typescale to do that. Color palettes. You can't just slap on different colors and expect them to work. There are set colors that can help you do that. You don't have to think about where to get those colors. You just go to sites like this and you get them. Then the wireframes, like actually doing medium fidelity wireframes, you can use Marvel app, which we'll be using today, and Figma, InVision, Balsamic. Excuse me. So Balsamic can actually be used to do the low fidelity ones. And then other resources, you sometimes need pictures, and Splash is great for that. Icons, the NAM project, they have free icons, but with an MIT license. And then you can get illustrations from those guys as well. All right. So we're going to do another versus again of two products that I think people know, at least have interacted with in some way or form. So you must have interacted with at least one of these: Ubereats and Vuba Vuba, right? So we're going to walk through, and I want people to call out the things that they feel make sense and the things we feel like don't make as much sense. Okay, so this is the flow for Ubereats, right? Start here, and this for me was so cool because they had seen that I registered. I'm registered on Uber, so they just asked me, "Do you want to continue?" instead of re-registering. That was super helpful because I didn't need to sign up. So that's like probably the only opinion I'm going to give. The rest, I'm just going to walk you through, and then I want participation. So the next thing after this screen was I choose my address. I was just testing out what they will see when I put the Rwandan address. Obviously that did not work. So I moved on to choose Brooklyn, USA. They also have options here, leave at the door, meet me outside, meet me at the door. And then you come here. So when you choose, that option, one of those options, you come here. This is like the main page. You have a filter here. You have like ads at this point, and you have the different products. So you see, when I click the filter, these are the options I saw. So you see this section. This section was an ad, and then this section is showing you things that are popular near you. So you can sort, based on these things to show you what comes up first. And you can decide what your budget is for things that they should show you. You can decide if you are one of these, vegetarian, vegan, or whatever. And, the app will show you just those things. And then when you click apply, immediately the filter applies and it shows you here. All right. So in that process, does anybody want to make any comments or anything that they like or don't like? In this whole process? It's fine if you don't, I will just continue.
I do. Can you go back to the previous slide?
Yes.
Yeah, like what you mentioned about the fact that they asked you to continue with as Kesian now, like you didn't need to log in again. I think that's quite helpful. And it's just very, how can I say, the process flows. Like start first of all by address, then how you want your delivery to be named before choose the food. I think other apps will have like started with the food directly. Then because of me, it's quite preferable. I've already settled those kind of details. Now I can just focus on the food, especially when I'm hungry. Also, yeah. So yeah, what I like with the that's what there is.
Thank you. Any other takers?
Other than the design, which is pretty nice, I liked how they've broken down all the user action steps. So they've made sure that like they've thought about different questions that are relevant to the user to ask, and the design is pretty as well.
Thank you. And that was your word, pretty. I remember.
Yeah.
Any other takers? Thank you, Rachel. That was good. All right, we can keep going. Now this is this page. So remember I told you after you finish filling out, after you finish filling out all of these details, you get here, and this is like the main product page, right? So this is the product page for Ubereats, product page for Vuba, specific vendor product page for Vuba as well. Anything jump out to us? Anything that we want to call out? And again, well, you can think in terms of these, right? The colors, the fonts, the type scale, like the graduation of the size of the fonts, the pictures, the icons. Yeah, think in those terms. And again, there's no right or wrong answers. Everything is entirely up to you. Anybody? What do you see that stands out?
For Vuba, is it like, can we, is it the first picture or the first screenshot? Is it like the home page, or that's when you're already like ordering?
No, this is
a particular.
when you open Vuba, this is the first screen you see. So
okay.
the reason I saw this screen is because I had not signed up on Ubereats before.
Okay.
So once you sign up on Ubereats, then the first screen you see as well is this one too. Yeah. Any thoughts?
I don't know if on Vuba is the same, but on Ubereats there is icons right down at the bottom of the page to like easily navigate. I don't know how it is done in Vuba, but I think it's kind of easier to navigate on Ubereats from one category to another.
Makes sense. Why do you think that? What are you seeing that's making you make that?
Because Because let's just say I'm already like very deep into, let's just say I've selected my menu, I've selected maybe a particular vendor, I'm really deep into the app. But now on Uber Eats, I can easily, let's just say I was deep into the app and I forgot about, I don't know, I want to change something in my account. I don't need
Yeah.
to like go back again. I just can,
Mm,
press on the account icon like very easily. So yeah.
so on Vuba, they have more with the confusing icon, and then accounts is very directly accessible on Uber Eats. Makes sense. Thanks, Etienne. Any other thoughts? Any thoughts on pictures and fonts specifically? Okay, I will give my own thoughts. Oh, somebody unmuted. Please go ahead. It sounded like somebody unmuted. Okay, I guess I was wrong. My own thoughts here, some of them. This filter is invaluable here. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. In Uber Eats now, that filter is so useful. And you see the green dot there, because everything is in, grayscale, they add that green dot there to make you feel, because of that association you have with notifications, like this is what notifications typically look like. And because, the way we've been trained with our phones, people typically don't like seeing notifications. Like, you don't like seeing that red thing that you have something to do. You always want to click it. So, that draws you there. So you know that, oh, if I want to filter, I can always go there, which is great. Vuba has too many things at once. Something that I suffer from, sounds like a disease. It's not a disease, but when I go to in a restaurant and I get the menu, I have like menu fatigue. Like, it's hard for me to choose. There's too many options at once. I typically have to ask the waiter, like, what would you suggest for me to have? So here in Uber Eats, I'm seeing one thing at a time. I like that. And if I want to see more detailed things, I just filter. I absolutely love that. On the Uber end, there is clearly like a green theme going on. And we should eventually talk about, we can't do it in this session because it's too short, but maybe in another session we'll talk about color psychology. Green is not necessarily the best color to use like for a food kind of app. Black is great because black is typically associated with luxury, but it's also like a neutral color. Anything can go on top. Anything can go on top and look good. Like, you see this picture that this Bergen shop uses, has great contrast with the picture. Then the font, Vuba's font, for lack of better words, pisses me off. And then there's unnecessary letter spacing. So you see that the words nearby Vuba food and Seymour, you may or may not notice, but like, if you look closely, you see it's spread apart more than it should be. Compared to like the way Made It Fresh is written, you can see it's more spread apart. So it's not as nice to read. What else? The other thing that I see that Uber Eats does pretty well is the pictures. Pictures are very high quality. Compare these two pictures here. Because it's food. If the picture is not high quality, you don't want to eat it. Like, I don't know what is here in this part. It's probably a chicken nugget, but it looks like somebody's foot that is diseased, to be honest. So that's just disgusting. I'm not going to eat after seeing that and thinking that is probably somebody with, leprosy on the on the plate. And then you see here as well with the turkeys, there is no picture. So I have no idea. I don't know what to think Like I'm not drawn to anything. It's just text. So in this case, I feel like they should make adding pictures compulsory for each item, because I know they don't control the pictures themselves, is the vendors. So those should be compulsory. Those are my thoughts. Anybody want to engage with my thoughts or add more to those? Anybody?
I'm just curious as to why green wouldn't necessarily be a good. I'm not saying that the Vuba color is good. I'm just saying, like, I'm just curious as to why you would think that green is not a very suitable color, assuming that not every every restaurant world is as luxurious as the Virgin one, which is black and everything. So I'm just asking.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. So one, green is typically associated with growth. So it would be nice for like a farm, like if this was a farm product, that would be great. If this was a finance product, that would be great. If this was what else? I don't know, but things that have to do with growth and nature. Typically, that's why I said probably in the next session we'll do like the psychology of colors to know what things are naturally associated with what, and that will help your decisions. And then I think for me that's not even the key reason. The key reason is how would pictures that you cannot control contrast with this color? That's what will make me decide on the color. So if I chose a white, like anything will go. If I chose a black, anything will go. If I chose a gray, anything will go, but it's a look dull. So black and white, I think, will be, better options because you cannot control the pictures that are going to come. Like there's only a certain amount of control you can exercise when doing that. Does that answer your question, Catherine?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, here. Any thoughts on these guys? We're already past 12. Time is not on our side. So I might have to rush a bit. But any thoughts? Like look, anything that stands out, like don't overthink it. If it stands out, just shoot, rant. This is a safe space. Nobody? Anybody? I'm hearing someone on mute. Are you going to speak or are you just on mute?
Just give us some time to examine the.
Okay. Let me see. Somebody who has not spoken today. I think that's what I would do next time. Give it a minute.
Okay. Okay, I really don't like the fonts on the left. The images at the right of each part of each versus, like for example on when they are always asking you if you want to change vendors. It's quite like on the right, it's quite convoluted, especially the text they have included, like down. Your basket already contains an item from a different store. You would like to clear the basket and this item. Yeah. I think if you were doing the same, I think you were trying to do the same actions on both apps, right? So
Yes.
if you were trying to do the same actions on both apps, I think the one on the left, it's clear, like, are you sure you'd like to change vendors? Your current order will be lost. yeah, like I get it. Because I think most of us are like lazy to read everything. What did I say? Yeah.
Fair point. Fair point. Fair point. So that's points for Vuba on the copy, which is why I said I can't stress how important copy is. Thanks for that, Etienne. Any other thoughts? All right, because we're running out of time, I'll just run through some of my thoughts.
Okay, I just want to add. I'm not sure yet, but I think on when you're choosing your flavor or something, or like you're adding soda this side, the left side. I think as when you're selecting an item, they're directly calculating the price. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but as you're selecting maybe barbecue, dry barbecue, lemon pepper, they said they give the number of items you have added, then they're calculating the total it makes, right?
Yes.
But true. Now on the thing on the right, they are putting the price for one, price for the other. Like I have to mentally calculate again what it gives. No, I just prefer like calculate everything just to, yeah.
Fantastic. Your responses are getting me excited, man. Very, very spot on. Thanks for that. Any other thoughts before I jump in? In fact, I did not even notice that. So again, thanks for that, Etienne. All right, I'm just gonna jump in. So I would say the one that really pisses me off on Vuba is, see here, would you like a soda? Select one option. Now, if you've used the web, for a relatively, reasonable amount of time, you know that when you see a checkbox, it means you can select multiple items. But they're telling you you can only select one item here. It's counterintuitive, right? Because it's forcing me to overthink things. Here you can see radio buttons. That's what you use for single selections. And then, like the way this is separated from this, guys, it's easier to digest the information. So you can tell, okay, this is the topic, this is the other thing. I mean, you can argue that there's white space here, but I prefer how it's done here. And then, it gives you, because you don't have so much real estate on your phone, you're like, my thumb is huge. I don't want a situation where in Vuba, I'm trying to click this thing to, shrink the accordion. These things are called accordions, where you open and close them. But I go and mistakenly click orange, right? Or 1000, which would inadvertently click orange. And because I can't see the summary of my what do you call it? Of my basket, the pricing, I wouldn't know I selected it. I just go and continue, and then I get orange, and I don't know why I got orange in my order. So yeah, the copy on Vuba here, I think is better because this one is too long. But in general, I don't know why these companies cannot simply get all your orders and break it down into separate orders for you. To be honest, I feel like that's something that they can do instead of having to break like this. Because in real life, if I wanted things from, I don't know, Riders and Le Muguet or Cocoa House or something, I would go to one of them one by one and do that shopping. But in their case, maybe there's a shortage of drivers, and certain drivers should be located in certain places to optimize for distance. So in that case, I would say that they should actually take all your orders. They shouldn't remove anything from your basket, and then break all your orders into separate orders automatically. Yeah, those are my thoughts here. All right. I think there's like this and maybe two more. Any thoughts on this Let me give 1 more minute, or 30 seconds actually. All right, 30 seconds is up. Anybody has thoughts on this? Okay, for sake of time.
Okay, could I just...
Please, yes, Catherine, please.
Okay, so on the Vuba one, like that was just a random one, like the first thing I saw. I don't know if it's a screenshot issue or a disalignment issue. The place where they have the Orleans grilled wings and the chicken nuggets thing. If it is a screenshot issue where there's some sort of disalignment in that place, then fine. If it is not a screenshot issue and more or less a company issue, then that is very weird.
It is very weird. So let me give you context there. I specifically ordered 2 items just to show the contrast. So I'm the one who, made this look like this. And the reason is, if this wasn't there, right, this second row, how would you know how to delete an item from your basket? Catherine or Kate? I'm not sure which one. Which one do you prefer, Catherine or Kate?
I prefer Kate, but yeah,
Kate.
both of them still work. Yeah, I actually wouldn't know. So is it that you pressed the second button, that's like a delete button appeared?
Exactly. So you see these questions, I'm just trying to order food, but I have to now start thinking, do I have to press, long press, slide?
Yeah.
I just want to delete this thing. So here I have to slide. Somebody actually had to tell me. I did not know how to do this. Somebody actually had to tell me how to do this. So you have to slide to the left to then see the option to delete before you down delete. So on the other hand, Ubereats, just remove from basket. Like, it's clear, it's very simple action, and you're done. And then there's the subtotal. I don't know about this comment here. Well, I think they both have comments anyway. But the reason I say I don't know about these comments is because of the next screen. So you see here, you ask for comments, and then here you're asking for delivery instructions. Why, like, what would be different in both scenarios? Yeah. And then at this point, so it might not be immediately obvious, right? But let me go back here. Remember when we did this? Putting your street, your preference, leave at the door, which, by the way, these options, something that I feel like Rwanda needs, because I personally would prefer you just drop my stuff, don't bother me, don't knock on my door. I might be in a meeting or something, just drop it, tell me that you dropped it, I'll pick it up. Now, compare that to this. So with Vuba, every time that you are ordering, you now have to choose a preferred payment method, choose your location. Now, this location is only one here, right? So there's no other location that I could be going to. So there's really no need to choose. And then here again, I only have one phone number, right? There is no need for me to choose any. These 2 screens are unnecessary. If I have one, go ahead and just choose that one. You just made the process this much longer, right? And it's super annoying because I typically use mobile payment, mobile money. So when mobile money fails, I have to go back, start again here. In fact, if sometimes I have to go back to the store itself, then start doing this again, right? So since it's one item here, there's no point asking me to choose a location. So everything could have been on this page, really. And then if I see that, my location is not what I want, I just go ahead to click, choose another location somewhere on this page. And you'll have gotten rid of this 3 screens. Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
I do agree about the location thing, but I've used it before, and once. So I've ordered stuff when I was in one place, and I've ordered it when I was at a different place. It keeps the two different locations. So that's why they ask you to pick a location. But I think it should not be that third screen. It should
Yeah.
have been before.
Yeah. So I agree with you. Like, people should have the freedom to choose the location that you want to deliver to. In fact, sometimes you might be in your house, but you want to deliver something to somebody else as a gift or something. I've done that many times. So, like, the idea of choosing a location is valid. I'm just saying the extra screens are superfluous here. They could have been on this one screen. You show this is your address that we're going to, and if you don't want that, just choose another location, and then that works, because that's when I need it, instead of forcing me to always do this to me. Yeah. Okay, cool. So thank you guys for engaging on that. We're actually going to design now, and we're going to build a medium fidelity wireframe. This is the thing that this is the problem. So we've met with the client, and this is what the client says. I'm going to give 1 minute for you to read and digest, and then I'm going to ask for thoughts. Starts now.
Okay, so are we like giving our thoughts on how the user interface should be, or I don't know, just the general content?
Yeah. So, one, what you think about the idea itself, if it makes sense. If it does, who are the actors? Who are we building for? And then how should those different people feel when they use the product? So I'm assuming everybody has read this, and then I'm going to move on to this next page. All right. So you've seen the brief. What do you think about it? Who are the actors? What do we need? Any thoughts? And if you need me to go back, just let me know.
I think after the login screen, except the person has already done that when he was creating an account, we need to get the information. The information is some key information for the client, because he'll be ordering services, so that like when he's maybe wants a service from a particular vendor or maybe specialist, he doesn't need to like enter his information again, since he has an account there. All his details will just be added by displays. Yeah, those kind of things.
Okay. Thanks, Etienne. Any other thoughts on what we need? Actually, let's even start from what or who are the actors. So by actors, I mean, who are the people that would use this product, this Yellow Pages?
I think just like Ubereats, anyone can really use it, because I think it's mostly for services, right? The Yellow Page is mostly for services. So can you go back to the previous slide? Okay, yeah, like you said, fix my broken cabinets, then my garden, do my laundry, unclog my bags. Those are like everyday needs. So mostly for homes, I would say homes.
Makes sense. Is there any other thing that you can glean from this brief? Is there any other fact that might be useful?
Let me see. Okay, you said we should think about the the people we are targeting,
Yes.
and also the how we want how the experience should look like, something like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, I think for the second question, I think it should be, as you said, you want to build a platform that removes the headache. So first of all, it must be simple. You don't need to like click and click and click again. Yeah,
Okay.
it must be really simple.
Okay. Makes sense. Um, let me call on the host. Is she here? Christine, are you still here with us? I guess not. Who else can I call? Elvis.
Check.
Check. Any thoughts as well?
From what has been said, I think we can add someone who's looking for a service too. Maybe you can have like a section for looking, let's say tags, maybe of services available.
Okay, so basically like some sort of search engine.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thanks. So the other thing I wanted to point out, which I'm like trying to guide folks to think about, is we need to, sorry, Infinix. Christine, is that you?
Yeah. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I want to make a point on who the people that will be using the services. So I also want to add to what Etienne said.
Okay.
I think these services will be useful to virtually everyone.
Okay.
In any place, any location, either Rwanda, wherever
Okay.
it will be used. And also, I think it will be more of a help to people that are new to the environment or wherever the services is.
Okay.
And so those people don't really, probably they don't really know who to call, and they have not really gotten accustomed to the environment. So in general, yeah, it's a service for everyone. And also, I also want to talk about the people that, what do you call them? The service providers. That's the people you connect, like the plumber, the gardener, and stuff. I think there should be a place or a section on the platform where we can see probably where these guys have worked, and more like a history of where they've worked, because that actually gives, it's more of security on the part of the people that need these services, because you wouldn't want to get someone that you're not sure, or you don't really know who this person is, to come to your house to do all the services for. I think getting a history of, okay, this gardener has worked in so place, and maybe the client he has worked with made a comment of, the work he has done and how good it is. I think this will encourage people. Like, it's more like it gives a sort of security info that, okay, this guy has done this thing. So if there's any problem, I can actually make a complaint or call someone he has worked with to inquire of his services and how safe it is to get this person to work on. So in general, there should be a section where we can see the history of the services this person you want to come work for you. And yeah, so that's what I point on to make. Do you understand what I said?
Yes, I do. Thanks for
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
Thanks again for your suggestions. I think Elvis Infinix S4. What is your name, please?
Sorry, my name is Samuel.
Samuel. Thank you, Samuel.
Yeah.
Thank you, Etienne. So something that I want us to avoid with a passion is saying that it's for everybody, because it's really not for everybody, right? If you think about what you just said, especially that point, that was what I was driving to, that it's people who just came into Rwanda, right? That's who we're targeting. If you delve a bit deeper into that fact, sorry, just give me 1 second. If you delve a little deeper into that fact, we can now start to build a user persona or user personas for our product, right? So we've mentioned that people who would use this are people that come to Rwanda. How about people who would be there, like the actual workers? Wouldn't you consider them users as well, right? So those are like the carpenters, the plumbers, all those people. How will they interact with the platform? Like they're not going to be separate from the platform. Somehow they need to interact with it. We need to think through what that looks like. Also, the admins, there'll probably be some admins who, are making sure that people who are matched together, get the best services, right? And then when you get your service, they're the ones making sure that you leave a review, things like that. If you delve deeper into somebody who just came into Rwanda, do they speak Kinyarwanda? Most likely not. They are probably going to speak English most of the time. But there are a lot of people here as well who also speak French. If you're building this in Nigeria, adding like a French translation would be useless because most people speak English or Pidgin English, right? So that's why I said you can't say everybody. You have to really narrow it down. That's why I said, can you glean any more information? So the key things we're building for Rwanda, right? Building for people who move to Rwanda, because typically Rwandans already know who to talk to. They are not going to use your platform. Again, we're not designing for everybody. We're designing for people who moved to Rwanda. So they're most likely professionals who, are acquainted with this kind of service, where they're coming from, and they just need quick service without having to know somebody. So all of that needs to come into play, right? I don't know if you remember this example here. This one that doesn't have labels. I think it was Etienne that mentioned, even if you don't speak the language of English, you will just know which knob works for which one. So it means you have to use a lot of pictures and or illustration to accompany text, so that people who don't speak English can like quickly relate, even though we don't have like translation out of the gate with the MVP. I hope that makes sense. So now that we have those personas, we said that we need search. We said that we need reviews. I just put login screen because if you're going to have customers, they would need to log in at some point. So definitely need that. Now, the next thing is, how should they flow? And if you don't agree with, by putting login screen here, please call it out and, explain why as well. What is a potential screen flow you think should happen?
Yeah, excuse me.
I can hear you, Samuel.
Okay, so you spoke about the target people or audience, the target, the people you are building these services for should be people moving to Rwanda.
Yes.
So yeah, we get this where people that you concentrate on, but I also I want to give an example.
Okay.
Where I live in Nigeria,
Uh-huh.
yeah, so there are people living in this urban area and they don't really have like people who give the services like the plumbers, the gardeners around. Like most of these guys come from the most not really urban areas. Like I don't want to use like rural areas though. So they don't really stay around. And some of these guys don't really they don't know how to get to them quick because they don't stay around there. Unlike someone that is living in a rural area or not so urban place or location, but you can just walk down the street and you see these guys because on the street or wherever they stay. So if someone, since you say you're building for people coming to Rwanda, I feel there are also people like Rwandans who live in Rwanda that will also need these services, because like these people now, they might need an urgent service, and because they don't have these people around where they stay, they know where they can get them, but time and because they really need it at that point in time. So I think this service will also benefit them because they can actually just log in or open an app or go to the website and just order the services and get these men or these people to help them do this. So yeah, the concentration should be more on people who moving in Rwanda, but also we should also cover those who might actually need the services, who already stay in Rwanda also are Rwandans. So that's what I feel.
Okay. Thank you for that. So you're absolutely right. I'm not saying our current design is going to preclude people who are already residents here. It's more of this client has a very specific demographic already. And typically you want to go from specific to general, not from general to specific. Because if it works with this group of people, then you can figure out, okay, this works, so I can scale it to these other people. But it's much harder if you start, with a larger audience and try to put everything in there. Like you see apps that do e-commerce are also doing like, I don't know, games. Like what are you doing? They're trying to be a one-stop shop. That's what they tell you their marketing is. A one-stop shop for everything. People don't want a one-stop shop. I want a place that does one thing and does it well, So once this is done well, we can now scale it to a larger audience. So, to your point, I take your point there. But we should build small, then scale big. That's my disposition. All right. I need suggestions on the flow. We have just 20 minutes left. What do you think the flow should be? What screen should come first? What whatever buttons should be where? What do you believe should come first? And tell me from the perspective of which user you're talking about. Is it from the end user, the expatriates in Rwanda, or is it from the artisan that's on the platform? Or the admin? Any takers?
I think I think we can have it after the login screen. We can have your home page.
After login screen homepage. Okay. What is on this homepage?
Yeah. I think right at the top of the homepage, there's first of all the search bar.
Okay.
At the top of the homepage, there's a search bar. Then the main content I think will be just like what Instagram does with Explore. I think it's Explore. Like you see services related to like services there, because based on your information, there will be services they think will be useful to you, right? That they really think, okay, this is something he might need or something like that. Yeah,
So,
it'd be just like a drop down.
So how did we get this information?
I think when a person logs in, right, it means he has already created an account. So
Exactly.
to create an account, they'll ask you for your name.
So you have to sign up.
Yeah, you have to sign up.
Okay. So when should this sign up happen?
I think on the login screen, right? Just like Facebook and all the other sites does, it will be if you don't have an account, you can sign up. Yeah.
And just a heads up, like the reason I'm looking down is that I'm actually writing what you're saying, so like I'm not being distracted.
Oh yeah. I've noticed.
Okay, so you sign up or you can log in, and then you're taken to the home screen. Okay, and then there's a search bar on the home screen. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Let me point to somebody else, to help out there. Thank you for that. Who was speaking? I didn't get that.
Kesian.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Kesian. Any thoughts? Kate, are you with us? Please, if you're not speaking, please mute.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I don't really know if this is supposed or is meant to be on the homepage, but I think there should be a section. I feel it should be on the homepage. There should be a section where, okay, the services, this service is in Rwanda, and different people in a different location. So, if there should be a section where you should be able to connect, or a list of people who are bringing that the services you might need that are close to where you live.
Services around you.
Yeah, services around you. So I don't know if it's supposed to be on this homepage, but there should be a list of, okay, this is plumbing, gardening, or whatever. So
Okay.
So at a section on the homepage where you get a list of people who get to render the services that's around where you stay.
Great stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Any other person before we jump into the actual thing today?
Hello. So I want to talk about this login screen.
Okay.
So from the perspective of this person who just got in Rwanda,
yeah,
I think it's like a fresh install of the application.
Yes.
You should have like first screen should be like information about the app itself.
Okay.
And then,
so like onboarding pages.
Yeah, and then after that, that's where you should create your profile, or create your profile. And then for the next usage, maybe you should be logging in. The first page should be like login, or maybe this home page we were describing, which have searches and other like top searches, suggestions.
Okay.
That's what I think.
All of this is before Etienne's login screen. I'm saying it's Etienne's now. So let me give thoughts just before we go to the design part. When I get the app, like I already know what the app should do, right? Let's assume it's a web page. Let's not even assume it's an app, right? And the reason I'm saying that is, okay, before we assume, let me give you a thought process here. So this client did not tell you they wanted an app, which is why I said platform. So it's up to you or the developer to decide what it is. Is it an app? Is it a website? From my experience, people have app fatigue, meaning there's too many bloody apps to do too many bloody things. And then you get an app and then you have to register, you have to do all these many things before you even start getting any value from it. So what you want to focus on at every stage of your decision is, how can I build enough trust with this user for them to want to stick to my product, right? If I have to download the app as a client, as a customer, and I don't have space, that's the end. Like I'm not gonna try the app. If I'm tired of downloading apps, I'm not gonna try it. So that's why I'm saying you typically want to go for a web thing, except there is something you cannot do on the web, for example, accessing their contact list. Then you can say, okay, let's do an app or something. So that's one. So let's assume it's a web app because of that. Two, the app will tell you, like if you go to a web app, you see the site, there will be like a huge banner that says, find artisans now, or something. Like the copy would tell you what that site is about and like draw you to take action to do something, right? So in that case, it means that copy or that banner, that header would serve as the onboarding pages that Elvis mentioned, right? And then when typically, let's say you're browsing this on your phone, the first thing you would want to do, like I don't want to sign up if I don't trust that this platform can do what I want them to do, right? So you want to offer the client as much functionality upfront to build that trust. And then once that trust is established, then you can now say, okay, if you want to, call the plumber, if you want to call the whoever, just send us if you want us to contact you, send us your number or send us your email. So in that process of sending you the email, you can now create an account for them. So you're not even calling it sign up. You're just saying, put your number here, right? Because they've gone through the flow. The first thing they see is the actual services. They've searched, they've filtered. It's like, oh, this is somebody I want to talk to. I need a carpenter like this who has 4-star reviews. So they click on this person, and then they click on contact. Then, that thing comes up like, okay, for us to contact this person, what is your email? Boom, email gotten. Next question is, do you have any other, preferences that you're looking for apart from carpenters? Then you answer these questions. That's essentially sign up, but you just didn't call it sign up. It just feels more streamlined, more natural that way. And then, the user continues from there. And from there, you're able to save like a session for each of the users. Does that make sense? Anyone?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for the acknowledgement. All right, so we're going to use Marvel app for this exercise. So you can go ahead and open Marvel app on your systems, like marvelapp.com. I already have mine open here. So Marvel app is an app that I like to use to do medium fidelity stuff. And I recognize we have 12 minutes left. So for folks who cannot stay after 1 p.m., I understand that. You can drop off. But folks who can, I will try to rush through this as quickly as possible. So what I'm going to do is just create a very quick thing here. You can see how they're drawing you to create a project. Absolutely love that. So let's call this Yellow website. Yes. Create the project. And this is the screen you see. No, we're not adding the sketch design. Where is it? It's like this recently changed. Give me a second here. I think they changed how this works, like very recently then. Because ideally, what you'd have seen here is a bunch of controls that you can use to build out the thing. So what we'll use instead, I think we can just go with InVision. Apologies for that. I didn't know they had changed this part. Okay, these guys are both. Might have to do a bunch of product hopping here because Marvel App just killed my vibe. Just in case InVision also decides not to work. Same thing. One more, let me try this one. I think the safest thing here will be to do Figma. By the way, can you still see my screen? Because I was only sharing Chrome. Can you see that I'm sharing Figma? Anyone? Mic check, I need feedback. Can you see? Okay, let me stop the share. How about now?
Wait, what exactly are we supposed to see?
Figma, the interface for Figma.
Not really. I think it's still loading.
Okay. Let me know once it's loaded. Now?
No, on my side, it's looking quite black. I don't know if it's a problem with me only. Can the rest say if they can see anything?
Yes, please let me know. Anyone apart from Catherine? Sorry, I keep saying Catherine. From Kate. What's going on?
No.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing again. And I am going to reshare. How about now?
Perfect now.
Sorry?
Yes, no, I can see it now.
Fantastic. Great stuff. All right. Yeah, let that come down. So this is the Figma screen. Apologies for the mix-up. Marvel put a fast one on me. I did not know that it had changed those internals. Anyway, so this is Figma. In a separate session, if we have another separate session, we would actually be using Figma to do, you know, like a full high fidelity thing. But for now, we're just going to do a low fidelity thing. Right? So the first thing, the way Figma arranges stuff is in frames. So you can think of a frame as a screen. So a frame is like a collection of different things, different components that make up a screen. And you see, once I click frame here, you can hover to see what the thing is. You see on this design part, it gives me options for how to size the frame. So if you're doing like a social media post, you don't have to go and Google what are the dimensions for this. You just see them here. In this case, we're building for a phone, and we can assume, obviously, we're not going to choose iPhone because I think I made my position on that very clear. So Google Pixel, right? This is a basic frame. So we're going to start very, very basically. The first screen, you know, we said it's going to be a web page, right? So the first screen should have, you know, the onboarding, like the jumbo header thing. And then the next part of the screen, the next section should have, you know, like search and then items. Okay, I'm seeing the chat is buzzing. Okay. So we can start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock this frame there so that it doesn't shift. It just stays in place. And then we can just go start here. Let's say we want our onboarding to occupy that space. So let's see. Let's call it jumbo header. And then, we have down here, let's do this. So for folks who joined earlier, you remember I mentioned something about grids. So to get the grids here in Figma, you just click this plus here. So you see I can use this grids to align things. So for me, this grid is a bit too fine. I want to increase it to about 50. 50 is good. So each box is 50 pixels by 50 pixels. So I can put this one here and just make sure I resize it to fit. Yeah. So that will be one product. So I just copied and pasted, Control C, Command C, Command V. Nothing new there. Yeah, so we have these two. You might notice that they are, not very well aligned. So what I'm going to do is just select the two. And then you see this red line in the middle helps me center things. Yeah. Copy and paste that again. All right. So just so we know what is where, I'm just going to label this onboarding, sorry, jumbo header. I'm going to play with the text here to increase it. Since they're together, I'm going to group it here. Jumbo. And then these guys would be let's call them artisans, right? Plumbers and all those guys. So somebody mentioned a search. So we need a search bar.
Please, Kesian, I have a question.
Yes.
My network was disturbing, so I couldn't really see the screen as soon as you started drawing the rectangles. To draw the rectangles, did you went to the icons at the top? You just choose rectangle and the list came down.
Yes. So the first thing you see here, beside frames, you see shapes. So you can click here and choose what shape you want.
Okay. And the frames, they are like the pages, or
yeah, they're like pages.
Okay. Thank
you. Yeah, sure. So somebody said search. So I'm going to put something here for search. So notice, I'm definitely not putting any color like we discussed. All of this is strictly black and white. So this would be the search section. And for folks who just joined, the reason for it being black and white is we don't want to bother about colors right now. We just want to bother about where should stuff be, right? Search bar. Reduce this. Can actually do this. Reduce it. All right. Center right there. So let's group all of this. So it's important that you group these things because they can get very messy very quickly. Search group. So I want to move it down a bit. Yeah.
Please, like the grouping is grouping. The grouping is
Yeah.
grouping like multiple rectangle.
Yeah,
Like
multiple layers, yes. Yeah. So what I did there is, let me undo the grouping. So to undo the grouping, I can select both of them and then just remove them and literally drag them out.
oh, okay, okay. Just that I did not notice that the text was separate from the rectangle itself. It's okay.
Yeah, it was separate. Yes. So when you want to group things, click, press and hold Command, and you click again to select all the layers. Then you do a Command G, or you can just right click anyway. Just group, search. All right. Obviously, these guys that are sticking out, it's a problem. So we have to fix those. So I can go ahead and just do that. All right. So this is, and you can zoom out with your mouse and zoom in. It's an infinite space. You can't have too many things. Like you can go as infinitely as you want. And you notice that I just did this and it sort of spoils the whole thing. So to make sure things don't keep shifting, you just go ahead to lock all of that. So you see, I can't move it anymore. All right. So this is screen one. So somebody also mentioned login, a login screen, right? So you can, the two things you can do. One, either create a new frame, right? Or, just duplicate this current frame. So I typically choose duplicate because it, spaces them very nicely. Where is it? So to duplicate, it's Command D. I don't really know what the real thing is. The command is outside of the keyboard. So we have this. And then inside here, let's say we want the login to have email section and then a section for, so I copy and paste it, Command C, Command V, or Control C, Control V if you're on Windows. Here, and then we just go ahead to log in here. So you see, I'm always using this red lines to make sure everything's aligned. Alignment is key. And then I want to add a button for the actual signing up or logging in. So I use one of these squares again. But it might be confusing, right? Because these are text boxes, this is a box. They look exactly the same. So what I want to do is I want to remove the color from within these guys and make the borders have colors instead. So to remove the color, you see this fill section, you just click the minus, do it again. Click the minus, remove it. And to add a border, click on the stroke. You have the stroke there. So I can use this tool to select the color I want. And it's still not very visible, so you can increase the thickness. Yeah. Yeah. So already, you can see.
Kesian, please.
Yes.
While you are doing this, I'll just notice the interface of Figma resembles very much that of Illustrator. So is it the way you copy it, like Control C, Control V? Can you use like maintain, just like using Illustrator, maintain and use Shift so like copy something and
Yeah.
drag?
I haven't tried that. I haven't. Let me see. It's possible. No, it's not working. You can't do that. Log in. Put that here. Let's not worry too much about the words. So just to now see like what a preview can look like. So I can click that button. So I click this play button here. And you see it's inside this thing already. I've not, done any linking yet. That's why if you link it, you can actually click and it goes to a different screen. All of that good stuff. All right. Any questions so far before I keep going?
Not just a question, but not the question, but so the way I see Figma is, okay, Figma is where like you lay down your ideas or something. So I want to know in what aspect is it related to the coding part of the app?
Right. So the developers who are going to work on your stuff, who are going to develop the idea, they need, visual guidance, right? They need to be able to see screen 1 looks like this, screen 2 looks like this, screen 3 looks like that. So that's what this design is about. So when you do that, and then you start to add the different linking of things to other things, then you can now start to have a feel for what the end app will look like. And then the developers will have the what you call it, the info they need to develop the full-fledged app.
Okay, thank you very much. And lastly, will you show us how we link to preview?
Say that again.
Could you show us how we link the pages, the frames? Sorry, because it said like when we go to preview, that's why we are not able to.
Okay. But there's something that's happening that I'm not sure why it's happening. So ideally from here, it should be, I'm not sure why it's not showing anything here. I'm not sure what's happening. It's because it's locked. Just give me a second, please.
Kesian,
Yes.
I can see on the login, his login buttons are included in the frame, but on the other hand, the onboarding, they are outside the search result.
Yeah, thank you for pointing out. That is indeed the issue. That is indeed the issue. Let me fix that. Yeah. So all I did there, let me repeat that. All I did there was, select. You can select one, and then you hold down. Hold down, I think it's Shift. Yeah, Shift. And then click up until where you want to select. And then you can click and drag. So when you drag and you see it's highlighted there, it's underneath there. Yeah. Thanks for that. I think that was Elvis. So let me confirm that that actually works now. There we go. Yeah. All right, so I'm actually not super sure of how to do the linking, but I think it's directly like this. Yeah, I believe. So let me repeat that. You go from here. So when you click there and you come to the prototype tab here, you can link it this way. So what you can do is, choose the action that causes the move or the transition from here, and then choose where it navigates to. In this case, to be the second one. So we can say slide in, slide out. I'm trying to do the hotspot thing. There's a way to do. Where is it? So let me assume when you want to click one of the artisans, that's when it triggers. Yeah, that's it. I'll do it again. So this is where you be by default, design mode. So you click on the rectangle and then come to prototype mode. Choose the thing that you want to activate your transition and then point it to the page, right? So on tap, navigate to, we'll go pixel 2 here. And, let it be a sliding animation that takes this much time. So we can test that out. I think I need to remove the 1 on this guy. So ideally, if I click one of these guys, it should move. Yeah. I didn't link it back, so none of these will work until I link it back. Etienne, does that answer your question? Mic check. Etienne, are you still on the call? Okay, it's not on the call. But yeah. For folks who are still remaining on the call, this is where I'll stop today. So what would be great is if you can continue developing the ideas that we, had here, and then, build out a full wireframe of a solution that would fit this guy. And then from there, in a separate session, we can actually do a full design, or a more robust design or high fidelity design here. And I apologize for the mix-up. My plan was to use Marvel app, but they had changed how they work. And I checked it yesterday, it seemed fine, but I was surprised still. All right, thanks to everyone who came through. I will stop sharing now.
Thank you so much, Casey. It has been an interesting session. It's been really amazing. Yeah, some of us have learned quite a lot. For the rest of you who are still around, thank you so much for staying through. I know we've gone past time with like 17 minutes, but thank you so much for staying back. We'll send out our feedback form soon, just so you give us our feedback. And Casey, I think you can just add the pointers that you gave, like where we should continue on before the next session, you can just add that in the Discord chat so that those who left midway can find it. And yeah, so that they can come and find us together during the next session. All the same, thank you so much. I think we will communicate the next session that we're going to have. I don't know if you had already had that meeting with Christine.
I haven't had that meeting, no.
Okay, so I guess we should communicate that soon enough. All the same, thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheers, everyone. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.